What's up, guys? It's Jades cornerback here again for another Creatures of the Vampire Diaries video. And in today's video, if you have seen the title of the video, you know we're going to be talking about Augustine Vampires today. So if you guys are excited, make sure you guys leave a like. Make sure you guys sit back and relax, because I got you guys with explaining just what Augustine Vampires are for those of you few Vampire Diaries fans that are still confused about the concept. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Augustine vampires were an artificially created subspecies of vampires whose major difference from regular vampires lay in their feeding habits and sustenance requirements. Initially, the term Augustine vampire referred to a normal vampire who has been captured and made a test subject to the many experiments carried out by the Augustine Society. However, due to the experimentations by Wes Maxfield, Augustine vampires eventually became their own subset within the vampire race, following Wes's creation of the infamous Ripper virus, a chemical compound which turned the infected vampire into a cannibalistic ripper with an insatiable, ravenous hunger for the blood of other vampires. In Enzo's case, being an Augustine vampire meant he had to be held in captivity by the Augustine Society for decades, during which time he was constantly experimented on to test the limits of the vampire healing ability on vampires and humans via their blood. However, this torture against him did give him several abilities that many other vampires do not have, namely an increased tolerance for physical torture and to vervain, which has proven useful against vampire hunters who try to incapacitate him or kill him. It is unknown just how many of these Augustine vampire test subjects the society had, but 3 of the subjects are known: Lorenzo, who was captured in 1943 and escaped in 2011, Stefan Salvatore, who was captured in 1953 and escaped in 1958, and Joey, a Whitmore College custodian whom Wes turned and experimented for at most several days before Damon fed on and killed him following his transformation into a cannibalistic Augustine vampire. For the Augustine Society to create a cannibalistic Augustine vampire, however, a regular vampire was needed first, which required a human to die with vampire blood in their system and then feed on the blood of a human to complete their transition upon awakening. In the case of Jesse, Wes discovered that Jesse had vampire blood in his system from being healed with it the night before, so he killed Jesse with a cardiac medication and fed him a blood bag to complete his transition. Once Augustine had a regular vampire, there were 2 ways to create an Augustine vampire. The first method involved starving the vampire over the course of several weeks and then selectively feeding them vampire blood, which seemed to have both a psychological and physiological effect on their cravings for blood. After some time, the Augustine vampire would develop increased strength, and their vampire face became even more pronounced as the darkened veins around their eyes extended past their cheekbones. Though feeding on human blood would satiate them temporarily, all it would take was one taste of vampire blood for the Augustine vampire to become ravenous for vampire blood to the point that they could easily kill the vampire upon which they were feeding. The second method was much faster and was born from Wes Maxfield's desire to create more Augustine vampires without having to go through the trouble of conditioning him like they did Jesse. This method simply involved injecting the vampire with his newly created Ripper compound, which will quickly cause the vampire to begin craving vampire blood. In the case of Damon, Wes injected him with the compound while he was unconscious, and when he awoke, he was almost immediately triggered into a feeding frenzy when he came upon a chained up and injured vampire in the next room and smelled his blood. Augustine vampires possess the same physiology as regular vampires, though they have a hunger for vampire blood and appear to be even stronger than the average vampire of their age, as Jesse, a weeks-old Augustine vampire, was able to overpower the 172-year-old Damon before he himself became an Augustine vampire as well. Similarly, once Damon was transformed, his strength became augmented in general and was able to be increased even further when overcome by the craving for vampire blood. This urge to feed on other vampires seemed to cause even centuries-old vampires with lots of experience in resisting their urges to revert to the behavior of a newborn vampire who hasn't yet gained control over their hunger. When an Augustine vampire smells vampire blood, especially when they had not fed in hours, they will temporarily lose their personality and feelings towards anything, as they're consumed by the desire to feed on other vampires. This was demonstrated by Damon in the episode No Exit, when his desire for vampire blood overpowered any feelings of affection Damon had for his best friend Enzo or the love of his life Elena. Also, when they began feeding on vampires, it was incredibly difficult to stop, which is what earned it the name Ripper Compound. The Augustine vampire fed so heavily that they ripped off the head off the vampire whom they were feeding. This violent outcome occurred after Damon fed on Joey and also the man he referred to as Farmer John. Unlike normal vampires, whose veins only grow in around their eyes, an Augustine vampire's veins grow down past their cheeks. This is most likely due to their increased bloodlust. An Augustine vampire apparently cannot feed upon itself or on another Augustine vampire. Otherwise, it would have been an easy matter to satiate their bloodlust by feeding upon themselves. The ordinary vampire test subjects of the Augustine Society possessed the standard powers of a vampire, although those who were injected with the Ripper Compound or who were conditioned to become the cannibalistic Augustine vampires possessed these abilities to a heightened degree. Their powers include those of super strength, super speed, super agility, super senses, super durability, healing factor, immortality, enhanced emotions, emotional control, mind compulsion, sire bond, telepathy, dream manipulation, illusion casting in their true face. Their weaknesses include the likes of animal blood, broken necks, the cure, decapitation, desiccation, fire, heart extraction, invitation, magic, physical trauma, poison, the Ripper antidote, sunlight, vampire bloodlines, vervain, werewolf venom, wood, and white oak ash daggers. And with that all said, that's all we have today for the Augustine Vampires. So if you guys enjoyed what I had to say in today's video, I hope you guys enjoyed. And make sure you guys leave me a like as always. It helps this video get out to more Vampire Diaries and Originals fans around the world. Also helps independent content creators like me grow even more than we are at now. We are currently on the road to 5,000 subscribers, trying to hit that by the end of January or mid-February if possible. And without further ado, I'm Jades Corner. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel once again. Turn on post notifications so that you never miss a future upload from me. And I appreciate you guys for tuning into today's video. Have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will catch you guys in the next Creatures of the Vampire Diaries video. Deuces.